Welcome everyone to the International Workers' Day special edition here on the 1st of May 2024. We just put out major news of our all architectures, record-breaking most than all other, supporting Linux distribution, that is a continuation of Rock Linux, that is T2. And as to be expected, nearly no news sites featured news about this, right? Despite I put the most efforts ever, like basically I put 8 hours on writing press releases, filling out media contact forms, sending press releases and following up and stuff. Thankfully at least, otherwise I would probably be totally depressed and probably finally start doing open source or stop doing open source. Whatnot. At least we got it in Slashdot for the second time ever. And of course DistroWatch as usual featured us. But I'm extremely disappointed that neither otherwise somewhat popular open source sites, that open source news sites like Phoronix, our love and hate relationship with Phoronix, OS News, which thankfully once we were on OS News a couple of while ago, which in general I was thrilled and thankful for, to be at least once on OS News here, of T2 2.2, like over soon 20 years ago, 18 years or whatnot. And like, hey, at least we were once on OS News, and we were once on Phoronix a year or two ago. Probably also only because I started, because I got so upset. So the real problem is the underappreciation of open source labor and stuff, right? And what pisses me really off, and I'm also really disappointed that I tried really hard, and I think we have never been featured on Heise, one of the largest IT things. That is even close, like I was even born there in this town, close to that, next to that. I freaking grew up there. It's like your hometown big news media sites, and they can never freaking, we tried, okay, once we were featured on a printed IX or Heise online, Heise magazine IX, I mean, I'm thankful that like once 20 years ago we had such a large, maybe I still have the magazine here in the IX, at least something. But what is really depressive, so I understand, like, if we would be some commercial company, I wouldn't care, right? Because if a commercial company does some product that sucks and stuff, and okay, you're not mentioned, but that the most minimal appreciation and respect, especially in your home country, and also I'm disappointed about Golem, which are headquartered here in Berlin, where even I previously knew the owner, and I previously wrote articles. Maybe even they mentioned us once, actually I didn't check today. Maybe once in like 20 years ago, like yeah, previously they even mentioned us because I knew the owner. I was like, how are you mentioned? Hey, you know the owner or founder. And like previously I did, why were we mentioned here? Because previously I did, like when I was a student 20 years ago, I actually wrote sometimes articles for Golem. And that is the only reason I've probably not written my own articles, at least as I remember, maybe I should check that, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, Jens, so that is a previous co-founder, Jens. So yeah, I've not written those personally. I appreciate the shout out, I at least appreciate the shout out of Golem, and previously, like decades ago, we even have been mentioned in the news magazine with our T2 anniversary, the best ever release. And what saddens me the most, I knew, and the problem is, of course, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, right? Like, you are not being covered by mainstream IT media until you are big, like until you're Apple or Microsoft or Facebook or Google or Debian or Gentoo. Like all the people, and so the comments are either positive or, I mean, of course, some trolls and stuff, but the comments below my previous video, of course, and so this is also why I turned to YouTube, right? Not only are all the other YouTubers have fun, and I thought like fun I can have myself on YouTube, but also like if the big mainstream media doesn't talk about me, then I do my own big mainstream media, right? And in general, this is not only about our project. I think in general it is utterly unfair, as I mentioned 5 minutes ago, if it would be just some failing Vision Pro AI companies. I mean, the thing is, of course, we don't have right by law to be mentioned in some media, right? But in the case of open source, people putting 50,000 hours of their free labor into making the IT world a better place. And then, again and again, no matter how hard you try, no matter if you put 8 freaking hours in writing press releases, of course I'm not perfect. Hey, not only I'm a technician, but I'm also exhausted after 25 years and 50,000 hours, right? Besides, writing press releases never was my strong suit and my dedication and passion, right? But I freaking tried hard, right? And of course, here below this previous video, like, why do we do our own shameless self-promotion? Because we freaking never got shameless self-promotion, right? We never got on Heise. We, until some years ago, didn't get on Slashdot. And probably the only reason Phoronix posted about us once, and I pinged them twice. Not only I copied them, I copied Phoronix's mark or whatnot. And I even posted it, like, the first time ever, like, I myself posted on the one forums. Shameless. So basically the only marketing you get is your own shameless self-promotion. And I'm sick and tired of that open source people need to do all the hard work, sync OpenSSL, sync curl, and they don't even get press, right? And on the contrary, sometimes, as you see here, amazing stuff, right? Like, look at all the comments. And I'm aware, like, of course T2 is not as UI polished of just working as Apple macOS, but hey, it's for free and stuff. And it has a different technical background of also reproducibly building embedded systems. And you could argue, yeah, but it's an unimportant one-man, few-man project. However, so is Gentoo and Arch Linux and Alpine and Intel's Clear Linux, right? And also, hey, did I mention Labor Day and people protesting on the street for more labor rights of fair pay and stuff here? We're not even getting paid for, except our YouTube donations and your patrons and share, like, subscribe. And so many people, like, I've never heard about this. Like, yeah, dude, for 25 years I'm trying. And mainstream media is like, you know what, fuck you, open source developers. We're not writing about this. The irony is I increasingly get different magazine cold mails about, hey, do you not want to advertise on us? Like, no, you never freaking in 25 years wrote about a project, not giving you advertising. So many people here, amazing, love what you're doing and stuff. You're the best technical channel. I'm not even the best technical channel. Do I say we are the best? No. I have a to-do of 667 entries. Of course, I'm aware that there are still bugs and implementation marginalities. But hey, there are only so many 50,000 hours I can put into this stuff for 25 years. I'm aware I'm not even the best tech channel, and so is not Linus Tech Media Group stuff. There are certainly amazing tech channels that draw nice diagrams and stuff. I simply have no time for drawing diagrams, so they are amazing. So I'm never said I'm the best tech channel, and I know I'm not the best tech channel. I'm just live streaming here, mostly my open source work. They're amazing people who draw amazing schematics and diagrams of inner workings of stuff that I simply have no time for because I work on Linux distribution. I nonetheless highly appreciate all the comments. A lot of work done, good coder, stuff. You're a genius. I'm not even a genius, but thank you anyway. But like, hey, like, is it really that difficult to write one freaking news? Like, and the craziest thing, and this is also so hilarious. Those bloody news sites, I mean, they write your shit about, like, even Phoronix, right? Like, Phoronix, I know the Phoronix founder hates me for some reason, because obviously we're not Fedora, and so he hates on me or us or whatnot. And obviously we're an unsuccessful one-man distribution, so the Debian people told him or so. But what I really hate on Phoronix, I mean, first of all, I don't even like the technical writing. In my opinion, it's really slang and sloppy and stuff, but nonetheless, he is somewhat successful. I appreciate this. I surf them myself and get some updates and whatnot. And two things. The first thing is he wastes, or maybe he needs page views, and so he wastes his article things for a lot of release candidates, right? He's always release candidate, in my opinion, like, instead of 10 or 20% of his news being release candidates of various also Fedora, like Fedora evaluates replacing Redis with Velcade. It's like, dude, so what? Like, maybe write about in the release of Alpine Linux and Arch Linux and T2 Linux, and not like every effing or every other release candidate here. He has space for OpenSUSE release candidate or Fedora release candidate, or Ubuntu is not yet recommending the VR. I mean, maybe fair enough somewhat, but like, hey, if you need news, like maybe I pinged you twice. And the reason some people hate me for spamming the Phoronix forum, the reason I started to spam the Phoronix forum, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I did not do this forever. I only spammed, spammed is relative. I don't even have that much time. Like when I'm bored and frustrated or whatnot, I post a comment. I didn't automate this, and I only do this if I have a lonely minute with my coffee. And all I do is spam the forum with, yay, we package this on T2 Linux, like some update. And then I'm not even do this consistently. It's just sometimes when I need to relax a minute, I put their link, and I only do this because, hey, you have never reported about freaking T2 Linux ever, despite ICC you on press releases like for a decade. And then don't be surprised if eventually I come up into your forums like, hey, we exist. Hey, we have this. We got this too. We updated this already. It's like, yeah. Release candidate, probably more release candidates. Is it really important that Clang adds there some obscure ARM thing? It's like, okay, sure, not the worst views, but is this, by the way, released? No, okay, that is released, fair enough. Also, like, they aim, like, what freaking news is that? Like, instead of GCC 14.1 will maybe soon be released, like, hey, maybe like an actual release of a distribution was released, and not like, if you need page views and controversy, like maybe post news about our, like, why are we an unsuccessful Woman distribution? Because news does not freaking write about us, no matter how I tried. Basically, and not even OS news, and I probably pinged them twice. Basically, this is also, not only I said this before, I had a 10-year sabbatical of, okay, the Linux desktop sucks, it will never be great again, fine, I use macOS as a desktop, I only maintain the core things that we need for our automotive project, our carrier grade projects, our virtualization projects, our firewall projects, with all the undercover stuff that we do for our customers. Hit Xacode, like for a decade, I only maintained all the stuff and Xorg and Blackbox and RxVT Unicode that I needed for my Linux desktop and my embedded customers. And then I tried, okay, we give it one more try. For 4-5 freaking years, I really polished the heck out of that. Sure, it still have rough edges, but so has freaking Debian. And so has Gentoo. And the rough edges are also previous videos, because shit is complex and upstream does not just build. And we waste 8 hours after 8 hours to get KDE and GNOME 404 freaking dependencies packaged and freaking built, because FFmpeg breaks all the multimedia stuff every other week, because after one sound daemon that was, well, I even forgot what BIOS before, Arts and eSound and Pulse Audio, which is now Pipewire and stuff. One multimedia system breaks the next thing in audio subsystem. And that is documenting how much time it takes. So I polished the heck out of it, and I probably on Slashdot we might only have been because we said, hey, we maintain Itanium. So even I thought last October I want to release it, like, and since last October, six months, 40 plus hours a week, I polished the heck out of T2, made all the architectures, including Itanium, and then why did I the last weeks polish the build dependency heck out of KDE? Because I did not want it to be viewed as an unsuccessful Linux distribution guy who does not even have KDE and GNOME. I put 80 hours just the last week in to get most of KDE and GNOME built, as seen live on Twitch, just for the release to with straight eyes can say, hey, we support KDE and GNOME again. And Itanium, KDE and GNOME and 25 architectures is not enough for most of mainstream medias, despite putting in the efforts of press releases to be covered by Heise, by Golem, by Phoronix, by linuxmagazine.de or com. At least not until I last checked. At least Google News doesn't find that. Of course, you could argue your distribution sucks, but hey, so they even write about Puppy Linux, which sometimes even, which I would argue, I should probably not say this, but in my opinion, Puppy Linux is one of the worst Linux distributions like ever. Like, I have respect for Gentoo and Debian, but hey, Puppy Linux, have you seen what abundant garbage that is of a dumpster fire? I should probably not say this to look like a hater, but hey, I can appreciate Debian, I can appreciate Gentoo, I can Alpine, NixOS, but have you seen Puppy Linux? And they more often report about the abundant, very low quality, collaborate together, unsuccessful woman Linux that is dumped. And they can. But then they could also, at least once, I don't even expect each freaking release, but maybe once in a decade or 25 years, they could cover us. That's of course the usual chicken egg problem, as I mentioned 10 minutes ago. Before you are big, you are nobody. And you need to do all the heavy lifting yourself, mostly alone. Which is rather depressive, and especially in the state of open source. Like, we keep the freaking industry working. Even I patch things in the Linux kernel. I even found an AMD CPU vulnerability, which, ironically, I said this before, right? They did not even, I put in 1 month of work to distill why the AMD Zen CPUs crash, Zen 5. And then, your name is not even in the Tom's Hardware article, right? I think this one. So this is, and even there we were cancelled. I said this before, because they, I think, copied Phoronix, maybe, as far as I remember. Is this article? This is his article. And yeah, Phoronix. So I discover an AMD Zen bug. It took me 1 month to distill it down and work with AMD what the heck it is, and that it's a real CPU bug. And then, I think, to be fair, at least Phoronix might have covered us in that case. I think, to be fair, T2, although he doesn't mention me by name because I have the feeling he hates me. And otherwise he wouldn't treat me as disrespectful as he does. So yeah, at least he mentioned T2 Linux freaking there. Shout out there, thanks, Michael. Is his name right? Probably Michael Larbel. But do you think when Tom's Hardware copies this, they mention T2 Linux or my name? And that is the thing, right? Like, security researchers and open source developers, they spend 50,000 hours over a quarter century. And at the end of the day, when once there is something on Tom's Hardware, they neither mention the project name or the freaking developer. And I try to get it in here, right? All my comments here were also cancelled. I mentioned there, great, I commented 4 times with 4 different accounts, which all were banned for spamming. I only wrote the, hey, great article, would be so cool if you mentioned the researcher's name, which, hey, was me to discover this, deleted. Then I registered another account, posted something similar, deleted. Then I even linked, which I normally don't do, I linked here because he has comment, and then like link with fucking Gmail. It's like, okay, fine. I thought, okay, maybe the automated spam bot protection shit doesn't delete me when I link my decade-old Gmail account and comment something similar, also instantly deleted, right? It is absolutely, and so this is what I would call true cancellation and really low-key engineering, right? People complain about fake news and stuff, which I don't even do as much because I think true journalism and real news are highly important in the times of fake news. But this is exactly this kind of canceling that selective views, right? Living in bubbles, like only Debian and Red Hat are amazing or so. And everything else is, yeah, not newsworthy. And sure, we are not as smoothly polished, but hey, different than Debian and Red Hat. But like, if you for 25 years don't report about us, like obviously we don't grow and get popular, right? I don't even know what else I should do anymore except creating more social media accounts and posting more stuff. Of course, I get emails from people. I think even someone at Repology emailed me and said congratulations for this amazing release and stuff, which I highly appreciate. Of all the other, of course, I love you all and appreciate all your comments, patronage, and emails, which I get increasingly many, which is amazing. It's just so frustrated not to get into, I'm not even talking about like, hey, I'm not expecting to be on freaking Target show, right? On escalating shit in the world. It's like, obviously not. We are not yet Apple working on it hard ourselves because very few people support us. What did I want to open? I wanted to open something. Rapology? No. Whatever I said a second ago. Probably I wanted to say that, of course, we're not as polished as all the other distributions, but if people don't report about this, there is no growth, right? And there are new developers that could join and find it amazing. And all right, this is what I wanted to open. I wanted to open Reddit. So all I mean, beside, like, you can always say, okay, you can do better. Like, hey, for 25 years, I tried to better, including 5 years live on YouTube. Like, you probably have seen on live on Twitch how much freaking work I put recently, the last 5 years, increasingly over the 5 years, even freaking increasingly, I'm into this. I made here even like an 11 or 12 hour live stream of compiling stuff, right? That is how much time we put into that. And you can also join on Twitch if you want to see even more live development. And the other thing, and of course you can say your website sucks, but hey, even the website we made slightly better, right? The website doesn't suck as much as it sucked a year ago. And I would also argue a new site should not publish something about open source just because the website is a little bit low tech or whatnot. Like, hey, it's a hobby thing that people put 50,000 of hours in there. So there's also a limit of how much website we can publish. Of course, you can say you're not good enough. Like, make your Linux better, make your website better. Of course, all the people, yeah, your website sucks. It's like, yeah, patch welcome. It's like, yeah, make it better. Like all the people who never did something in their life, but hey, your website sucks. It's like, yeah, congratulations, thank you, love you too. So Reddit, right? So press release, you kind of say, yeah, your press release sucks, which like, hey, I don't even know what press releases Katie and Gnome sent around, although they have millions of dollar funded foundations that probably have total experience. They probably do nothing but have experience of sending press releases around. So the press release I sent to most media outlets looks something like this, which in my opinion is somewhat standard press release thing. Of course, you can leave in the comments below how unprofessional it is and how much better we should do it. I even said on our Discord, like, hey, maybe we need some media team who prepares this stuff, because like, truth be told, I did 99% of this stuff myself. Sure, of course we have new contributors like Notek and Dr. Schubert and Kuluk and all the others. Like, of course, like the last year, probably over 20 people have contributed to T2 Links, which is certainly an uptake since the previous decade of I only maintaining core things. But I just looked recently into the Subversion log history, and even in the last decade we had as late as 2014 different people contributing to T2. It's an unsuccessful, unappreciated, no money business, so people eventually move on because nobody reports about this. If probably like this, right? Like, yeah, this is actually nicely zoomed. So like tell me, patches welcome, comment on Reddit, like what is wrong with this press release? You can always say, and again, I worked so hard to be able to put more buzzwords in, like T2, 24, I even came up with creative pop song inspired. Maybe it's just, all right, I couldn't fix the title anymore with this space here. 24.5 future nostalgia for 24 architectures and 36-bit variants. Major milestone update shaping full support for 25 CPU architectures. I mean, maybe I should have, but I don't think it's just like some wording. This new sites they just don't really know us, probably because never ever someone writes about open source projects like this. And I don't think, like, I tried harder than ever. I don't even think it is because now that the website is better and the press release was better and the release was better, in my opinion, you can't even say anymore, like, hey, your release shit is shit. Because this year it wasn't that shit. Unless comments welcome. you could also say like, yeah, I mentioned Itanium in the beginning, but on the other hand, like most people also don't care about Itanium. So like I use this a little bit as clickbait of like, hey, we still do Itanium, but we also do RISC-V and KDE and GNOME. It's like, of course it's difficult. What triggers one person to write about this might downturn the next, right? It's like one reads Itanium, yay, the other reads Itanium, yeah, do old crap, obsolete stuff. You never know. I even, of course, list here T2 is known for its sophisticated cross-compile support as well as supporting nearly all existing CPU architectures and stuff. Like, I don't know anymore, except paying advertisements. I was thinking maybe I mean, in the meantime, usually I write press, news tip, whatnot at Heise, Golem and Linux Magazine and stuff and so on. Now, this time, first time ever, because probably it's somewhat impolite, like usually you should write like to news tips and press release and stuff and press ad and whatnot. Like for the first time ever, I thought like, you know what, for 25 years they have not written about this. After a day, after 24 hours, I even CC'd the editors, some selected editors directly at Heise and Golem. Of course, no change in another 24 hours. 2 days have passed already. I don't think they will, like maybe they still say this video and say like, after this video we will finally write about this. I don't know, probably not, but whatever. I mean, maybe either just ignore it's like, okay, fine, we will forever be the unknown. I mean, I already named this code name last year for top secret because like this was already a joke last year. Not Twitch. I mean, you could also say, okay, T2 the name T2 sucks, but on the other hand, other things also T3 and like, it's like yes, there are so many mistakes, including probably choosing T2, which initially this was even only a temporary product name of like second try, technology 2, whatnot. It's like, nah. But then after a year of doing tech, it was already for those people using it too known to like, okay, it makes no really sense like in 2005 to rename it. It was like, we don't have a better name. It is now somewhat known. It's like, okay, we just use it. It is what it is. But I, in the meantime, don't think either different name or different, I mean, would improve this significantly. It's just mainstream media does not appreciate small projects, period. And then on the other hand, they now make articles, supply chain attacks and unpaid open source stuff. Like, yeah, do if you never write like OpenSSL security and other glibc and whatnot, and nobody pays for the stuff. Like, you don't even, the same media, the same mainstream media who never writes articles about our project. But nobody pays for this, and now they are security vulnerabilities. Like maybe sometimes at least put the freaking article out for appreciating the hard work the open source people do. The reason I named this top secret was already here someone. Here, 22.9. I already named like, you know what, top secret, because you know what, it is such a well-kept industry secret because nobody freaking news site actually freaking writes about this. So T2 22.9 was top secret because I gave up on freaking news already so much. Anyway, yeah, supply chain, open source appreciation, and then other YouTubers make. This is I just actually okay. Let's Google this. The problem is I don't. Okay, we could actually go to YouTube. But the problem is I always get my random new YouTube algorithms shit here. Descooperate open source minus typos AI will probably. And then other YouTubers, alright, sometimes I still need to debug this sometimes. I'm not even sure what's up with that here. Like usually YouTube works. So this is just the latest version of Firefox. It's like, hey, the preview is like whatever. But you get the idea. It's like the death of open source, like people making IBM people, big mega corporations buying open source and unopen sourcing it, and non-open source licenses of source available and stuff. Like, hey, corporate open source is dead, and nobody appreciates those projects who actually do open source. So anyway, we have plenty of comments. Like, leave me in the comments below. I need to. Ironically, I even. What I also in our Discord rarely use, I only used it recently, like maybe twice, because I myself hate over-pinging of like notification to everyone. I use everyone like nearly never. I only used it recently twice probably, in this release things. And one was even, hey, at everyone, would be amazing if you take a minute or two of your day and contact your next local preferred IT publication house and drop them a note about T2. Of course, I don't know how many of the 300 or so maybe people on Discord did that, but like it's not like that would have had any. Anyway, it is frustrating to put so much work into this. Of course, some people know and some people appreciate this. And at the end of the day, I even had to start my own YouTube channel because otherwise you don't have a voice. You're not getting a voice for free. And then some Debian developers tell us shameless self-promotion. It's like, dude, we had totally no promotion in 25 years. And if I then sometimes post on Phoronix because they don't want to cover us in the news, and then it's shameless self-promotion of the least promoted Linux distribution out there. Thanks, Debian developers. If you watch this, you probably, I know very precisely which one. It's as usual, right? Linux developers hating each other because they do Linux distribution. Hey, at least all I said was, you see the difference? Debian developer calling us unsuccessful woman distribution and shameless self-promotion, and I say here live on channel, I at least have respect for Debian, Gentoo, Arch, Alpine, not really for Puppy though. Which is, I even made videos, I tried out NetBSD, OpenBSD and stuff, and Haiku, right? I have no problem promoting other people's stuff and analyzing what they do better and so on, and even improved our installer afterwards, right? Copying from the best. That is a difference. And Puppy Linux, in my opinion, is just not a good Linux distribution. It's just some clobbered together random stuff that, in my opinion, and that's the thing, right? We have 2,000 freaking Linux distributions, and I even had this open, and especially, and then they wonder, we have no local big IT business. Like, yeah, thanks Heise for not shouting out some small startup entrepreneurs in Germany, because like writing about each poops of Elon Musk, but a German Linux distribution, this is just this one guy from Berlin there. It's like not worth writing about this. They even wrote here somewhere even Linux distributions and overview. And this is, in my opinion, like really low. And that is also the point, right? Maybe the point that mainstream media failed so much is because they cut costs down so much and don't do good journalism anymore. Because this here is from when is this? 2022. That is even absolutely recent. An overview of Linux distribution systems. And they have Puppy freaking Linux in here. I don't expect, given, according to DistroWatch, we are like distribution number 150 popularity, which, because we don't do enough shameless self-promotion, of course I don't expect in a top 8 or top 10 or top 20 list of Heise freaking IT Online to be there. But like, why is Puppy Linux there? It's like a total unusable Abendunware. Like, I would rather put that Templo as a freaking Puppy Linux. Of course, OpenSUSE is here, Arch Linux is there. This list is like, why is here not Fedora or whatever the IBM name is here? Like Debian, Ubuntu. Of course there is Debian. But Debian, Ubuntu, no, what freaking list is it even here? Like, it's not even freaking alphabetically sorted. It's like, yeah, what is that here? Like, this is unusable, low quality engineering nonsense of a true, it is ridiculous. The only positive thing I have to say about Puppy Linux is like sometimes they use T2, which is, ironically, the Puppy Linux developers contributed to T2 Linux because they sometimes use T2 Linux. So like, which is, I probably should not say this, but like, I'm sorry, everything like their scripting and stuff, I probably should not talk negative about the stuff, but everything I've seen there, like even the patches, they only once, Barry Cow also, dumped like 100 or 120 patches or whatnot onto me, which I appreciate that they did this at all, but it was also the least quality patch I ever got, right? I spent like a whole night, like 4 or 5 hours, like sorting through all this. Like other people would every month send like, here's a new package, here's some improvement, there's like after 5 years, like here's some megabyte of changes, like, yeah, cool, thank you very much. And most of this, like this was the lowest quality patch I ever got. And half of this I had deleted, and the other half I had to polish a little bit. And even then it was, of course, it was like mostly random nonsense packages. I would never like eject packages and clock packages. And like, of course it was like 99% non-important stuff. Nonetheless, I applied like half of it after some polishing. And even after applying half of Puppy Linux contributions to T2 Linux, I still kept cleaning it up for years because, as I said, it was the most white space damaged, least, like, a lot with what I don't like cluttered with comments like BK, Barry Cower, BK, remove Z, BK, Z date. Like, for years I kept removing BK comments out of random stake, ethic and current. But anyway, like why is that here? Like, how, and why do we not have the Linux desktop? Because big mega news sites like Heise run an Linux distribution overview thing with unusable stuff like this. Like, who, like, what do they even have here? Like, Gentoo has more reason to be in here than freaking Puppy Linux. And I would, like, maybe Clear Linux should have been more. Like, I'm not even that reality distortion field trapped like Steve Jobs. I'm aware that T2 does not need to not yet be in this list, but like this list half sucks anyway. And that is a rather ridiculous shame for big mega news sites like Heise, right? It's like, and then people are like, I tried Linux and it sucked. Yeah, like maybe if Heise shouldn't, a Linux distribution for squirrels. It's like, Anyway, if I would not need a Linux distribution for myself, and that is the thing, like, why are open source projects have been done? Because for decades they are underloved, underfinanced, and underappreciated, and don't even get a news article. And if I would not need a Linux distribution for myself and my company and embedded projects, I would kind of sort of like, why even spend so much time on this stuff? Like, is it can also freaking stop it, right? Because like nobody except Slashdot and DistroWatch and our viewers, subscribers really care, right? Like, how much polishing is enough, right? As I said, you can always say like it's not good enough. Like, yeah, like how good enough is good enough? I mean, it clearly is better than Puppy Linux and supports more architectures and more packages and KDE and GNOME. Things, of course, what we probably should, like maybe we should, there are probably three things we can easily, like now that we have the best release ever that nobody wants to really publish because not mainstream enough or whatnot. Chicken egg, how to become mainstream if you're never being reported about, right? I mean, the most three easy next steps probably to potentially do to become more mainstream is make stuff more graphical, work better by default. Like, I mean, we switched already to ship even Itanium and other stuff with XFCE, which looks amazing, but maybe, I mean, the installation is a little bit textual, which most professionals like anyway. So maybe if we make this an automatically booting to a graphical login like other distributions, we could even skip all the text install stuff, because like if we boot into a graphical environment with XFCE and Firefox, we take out all the installation complexity, and then we have a one-time rsync to hard drive button thing of like entirely removing the classical install stuff. But at least some more graphical by default and whatnot, sure. And the second thing is probably make Windows gaming just work by shipping Wine and more Proton surrounding project stuff. That is certainly the two most major things. Of course, it would not apply to most of the 25 amazing architectures, RISC and stuff, but mostly to x86. Of course, they are the next easiest things. I did a lot over 5 years of making T2 work just more and fixed and patched and even vintage. Like, I made all 25 or so previous Twitch live streams, nearly all vintage and retro PCI graphic cards I have in my archive collection thing work, which most of them were broken upstream. So it's currently even the only Linux. I mean, maybe I should have put this higher up in the press release. I think that I, at least on the website, I mentioned it somewhere. But that's also the thing, like, but the one most important thing you have not mentioned, like, yeah, then it's probably, in my opinion, not about the one last most important thing. Anyway, sure, they always just make this stuff better, right? As I mentioned, more graphical by default, Wine and Windows gaming by default, and maybe there was a third one that I just forget. Maybe this, in this regards, most drivers and things work, like in this regard. Make sound stuff more just work with Windows gaming and stuff, but it's theoretically also not like, theoretically it was a reproducible target built Linux system development environment and not a Windows gaming thing. I'm just brainstorming of like the next 3 easiest steps to make T2 Linux more, or maybe the third thing, make printing just work. Anyway, or like maybe ship LibreOffice by default, which you can just build from source. But yeah, in my opinion, it is crazy. It is crazy the amount of attention to detail and release engineering that needs to go in there. And people on our Discord, like, can you not just release simply? I spent this month of extra polishing of Xorg drivers and KDE and GNOME to be able to make an amazing release. And you make an amazing release and nobody cares. Yeah, the next big thing, make it even more amazing. Maybe I should just maintain it a little. I mean, now it's, as I said to our other core developers the other day, like now T2 is in such an amazing shape after fixing everything I could find for 5 years, which were quite some 10,000 changes and updates and improvements. Now we only need to keep it working, which is quite some effort. Yesterday we live streamed Twitch, like even 2 hours of making latest GIMP work with crazy new GNOME dependencies. 404 KDE dependencies were not enough. Now you also need 100 crazy new random things for GNOME and GIMP. And even just keeping stuff working with upstream changes and regression, certainly a full-time job. But that is certainly less work than 5 years making all of KDE and GNOME packaged and work again and stuff. Yeah, as I've seen here, becoming a increasingly popular YouTuber is easier than building and promoting Linux distribution. Maybe I should just be a more successful YouTube influencing product reviewer than trying to maintain the 2000s and 27th Linux distributions. Anyway, gazillions of comments, which is amazing. Leave me in the comments below. Let's quickly go through there. Let's see what the comments are there. I just want first for the viewers in archive to see, to summarize this. Open source has always been niche. I mean, it's not really niche, right? Like if all of macOS and increasingly Windows and all the Linux distributions are built and all the modern internet is built on Linux, like how is this niche if the whole world, the whole IT is run, think log4j is Java as a whole, LVM Clang, it's like, if the whole IT is run by open source, how is it niche? But people chime in there. Michael is bipolar. What decides to cover? Yeah, and I was joking. I mean, with my YouTube channel, I have already enough on my plate. But like, given the state of IT coverage, probably many people agree that sites. I mean, just look at Heiser. You could always say in the past everything was better, which I not fully agree with. But hey, we did have less climate change, but. We also had less solar cells and less fine silicon lithography and less high performance computers. But I think tech news 20 years ago were more substantial. Now it's just not. Now it's mostly and much more product shout outs of like some Wi-Fi router thing and other random shitload of GPS jamming. It's at least one. Or like for 30 years, Commodore went bankrupt. It's like, okay, fine. It's like, there's nothing else to cover. But also certainly Tom's Hardware. Like just look at this low quality reporting of Tom's Hardware. They could not even get my name into this, right? And I mean, this is a lot of low quality press release, copy and pasting stuff. Here's again Tetris record. Like how many Tetris record? I mean, that is the thing, right? People report more about Tetris records and who knows what random crap than some mouse. That there's still mouse news is also interesting. Anyway, let's see. The coverage Rust replacement. So yeah, trap access the coverage of Rust. And so what I was joking some months ago, there is a German government sovereign tech fund, and I nearly wanted to apply because this Germany is pissing away millions, and okay, they give maybe some, was it to the curl and Boton, but also to this core utils. Like I think the German government gave this, and that is also intransparent. I probably should follow up with this. What really depresses me and annoys me is that I did not apply to this German like WIST2. But the thing is also, I thought I make it a little bit more popular now, which, hey, failed because no news wants to report about this. And then actually last week, I wanted to fill out the German Sovereign Tech Fund form of applying for some grant. But then I noticed they took it down because they are restructuring it. But after they restructured that, they're still restructuring this stuff. So currently you can't apply here somewhere because I wanted to apply last month and I noticed like currently you can't apply because they are rethinking and restructuring. But while they are currently restructuring and rethinking, they still approved 300 freaking thousand euro, which I find absolutely insane. I probably make a dedicated video about this. I also, in general, I don't really find it okay. In my opinion, if we give away German taxpayers' money, in my opinion, it should stay in Europe because I would need to check up. They say it's like location doesn't depend, but in my opinion, it really stings if like US people or other people in India, China, or wherever get this money. Like I pay I pay more taxes than Donald Trump. And then my tax money goes to other people and who knows where to work on Rust core utils. It's like absolutely mind-blowingly stupid. Yeah, this is one of the things. I should have freaking applied like in December. Like I wanted to fill this out in December because it will probably not be approved. It's like, let's make this a little bit more popular now and apply next year. And now I want to apply and now you can't apply anymore currently. And so yeah, somewhere there was, here, STF awards like nearly 1 million. And somewhere, and also I make a dedicated video. I find this such a waste of money. So Conda Store, Haskell, Cabal, again, at least this is somewhat useful, but hey, build system for package manager for the Haskell. Like they give freaking money. They give 320. This is also depressively insane, right? I sit here without funding. I not only pay more taxes than Donald Trump, I even give bounties away to our T2 Linux users from my own hard-earned money and your donation, and other people get 300,000 euro for bloody Haskell build system shit, which it is absolutely there's somewhere they had open web docs, Rusty, SB, OMS, like this is such random unimportant stuff that I don't even understand where they get to all this stuff, which is why I regret not applying earlier to this. Yeah, where is even January? Why is this other thing? Where is freaking the Rust core utils? Wait, is it not the same? Nix ecosystem supply chain security? Why do they, this is confusing. They had Haskell, Cabal. Why do they, did I not click on that? Why is Haskell Cabal here multiple times? Whatever. Do we have a search here? I'm here, core utils. It's like, how can... This is insane. I have not even seen this. This is only 90. This was. So last year I just thought they gave them nearly 1 million. Sorry, I just got a shock. I will make a dedicated video. This is also silly. I mean, these are just some bloody core utilities, and they are not even that important of all the things that need to be better and stuff. And so this is last year. There's even, I think they approved 300,000 this year. And that is, of course, the thing with all these government subsidies that Tesla and stuff get. Like, we've paid full taxes and then some for Tesla and Intel getting billions of tax credits and stuff. And other random projects, like we work our ass off, never get news coverage, do everything for free, and other small little new things, like, here's 100,000 here, 300,000 there. And that is, of course, always a problem, right? No matter which government and which Linux Foundation, like just look what the Linux Foundation is doing with their money. This is always this unfairness of, I mean, it will never be fair, but like this is like totally stupid. And in my opinion, I need to try to follow up more how, here is maybe this, here. Well, this is 2023. I thought this somehow is so, but this is even another. For example, here's reproducible builds. Like, what projects are this even? Like, they got 350,000 freaking euro. I don't even know what freaking heck this is. Reproduciblebuilds.org. Is this even a real thing? Is this a new thing? We are unsuccessful one distributions that nobody wants to write about. But who is this a scam? Is this a new thing? I mean, of all the things I knew, I never came across about this. Like, why do they get 350,000 euro but not us? This is so unfair and corrupt. It stinks, really. I would need to, like, founded in 2015, reproducible build project. I mean, so like it's like NixOS or T2. Founded, like, so they're 10 years old. I've never heard about those. Like, who is that? With what? Here's some Debian thing, or is it part of Debian or whatnot? 2015, get funded by core infrastructure. Nonce today that they get 200,000 to advance the Debian. Okay, this is Debian reproducible build. Okay, at least it's Debian, unlike some random scam. But it hurts nonetheless to never get media coverage, and the German government, like, we sit here next door, and so far the German government, with all the projects we tried to do with them, like, we didn't earn a single cent with German governments, because so far in the foreign ministry where I once was invited, and they only wasted my time. In the Bundesdruckerei, we tried to have projects with them, with scanning and printing, with not even T2 but our exact scan stuff. They only wanted to have fun and meetings and wasted our time. So much the government only collected my taxes and wasted my time in meetings, and even meeting at the Bundesdruckerei. No, they came to our office in the Jäger before we moved, when we had our shiny glass facade office. They wanted to come us and drink our coffee and have nice time, like only hang and chill. It's like, yeah, that is what I learned. Like, why don't you do more government projects? Yeah, I tried, and you know what? So far, they only came and drink our coffee, and without much to show. Like, this is the reality of doing business. And maybe if I would, like other people, like Donald Trump, would probably slime them so much to eventually give them some money after drinking coffee. I'm eventually, like, after meeting 10 times, like, you okay, nothing to show, I have other things to do, have a good day, probably do something else, like, whatever. Maybe I'm just too impatient honest man of not corruptly sliming people until, I mean, maybe they just wanted more than coffee, I don't know. But I don't have more money than coffee. Anyway, but if you don't like them, why do you even visit? Which website? Phoronix? What do you mean? Oh, you mean Trapexit? I even notified 9to5 Linux. By the way, if you're like, I did notify all the web. Linux Magazine, 9to5 Linux, right? Some of these websites even make it hard. They have at times only a forum. I really hate this. Like, contact us with a bloody forum. It's super inefficient to go all. It's like, hey, they Marok 3 for last year's KDE, amazing, probably as seen on Phoronix or whatnot. I mean, this is not like, this is so hilarious of like, yeah, you can't even run this on this year's KDE, super amazing news. Here, for example, Arch Linux-based, like they rather have, and that is the thing, I notified them. I filled out their bloody contact form and probably even later found email addresses of editors and CC'd them directly. And of course they don't feature T2 news, but instead, whatever Nitrux is of all the 2000 news distributions is now available for whatnot. And Arch Linux-based Garuda Linux, Bird of Prey distro, lens with Plasmer, like never heard about Garuda, maybe it's but that's also the thing. I am 25-year Linux veteran, kernel, compiler, libc, and all infrastructure coder. And I have not heard of most of the 2000 freaking new forks of, at least we are not a fork of whatnot, Debian and Rep. It's like, yeah, it's like you heard it there on 9to5 Linux. I mean, is 9to5 Linux a creditable, amazing, outstanding news site? Probably not really. But Dragonized and KDE 6 Sway, just like T2. This is so, like, I don't understand what people fall for. Like, does it need to be more colorful, more graphical, more dragon? Probably next. I mean, between abandoning T2 because nobody cares, or doubling even more down like I've done the last 5 years, maybe the next thing would be to make the website more colorful and whatnot to finally... And that's the thing, right? People probably care more about a colorful website than the technical merits of the distribution. Let's switch here to our T2 news, maybe even here, where we finally try to read the last comments here. If you want to support our stuff, our independent efforts and stuff, and at the end of the day, it takes really the joy out of this stuff, right? I mean, sure, I could, like I always did, put all the hard work in just to have a good Linux distribution, but at the end of the day, like if all you get is no attention and if all you get is more hate than attention, when, hey, it's not us who forked 2000 Linux distributions, right? We exist with Rock Linux since 1998, 1996 or whatnot, like before the year 2000, like, why do people love more new modern dragon forks of whatnot than a true to God, good old-fashioned Linux distribution that does all the hard work for all architectures? Why is that, except people loving graphical bling bling and stuff? It's not that Phoronix is bad, it's that it's lackluster. It's not a bad thing to visit, especially for benchmark. I would say many of their benchmarks are rather wrong. Like, they just run some benchmarks, and many of the benchmarks is like, meh, they benchmark like the more, it's like, yeah, I mean, better than nothing benchmarks, but yeah. SFA would not blame Phoronix for T2 not being promoted. Like, but why not? Like, why do they have more why do they have more news about random release candidates and other random crap than, like, and then whining, nobody supports stuff like Phoronix, the website, yay, stuff is deleted because nobody cares about it. Like, the distribution, who cares about all the stuff? Like, that's not important. That would disrupt our reality distortion field of nobody cares about MIPS and RISC-V and Spark and stuff. It's like, if we would bring this news that Itanium actually works, like, it would disrupt their worldview. Comment there, would T2 would get more coverage, control, like beating clear Linux and other Linux solutions as performance. Actually, I have full usage of GLib features. I theoretically have on my T2 benchmark, but that's the thing. I spent here 80 hours a week running open source stuff, and then I need to put in extra work of benchmarking stuff. I theoretically have in the back of my mind benchmarking T2 with some other Linux solutions, but then at the end of the day, it is additional work and then also, yeah, only because people like numbers go up on benchmarks, also utilizing all the cool new linker. Yeah, so PGO we can't really use because we cross-compile, that's a bit nah. Also, PGO is also not super easy because you need to run, like you need to compile and then run test stuff and then compile again. Basically, you order of magnitude increase your build time, which is like TrapX says focus on benchmark, waste of time. I mean, TrapX, I mean, I kind of sort of agree. I mean, I benchmark, of course, my own stuff and make sure it's faster and not regressing. I can see like polishing even more. Like, I mean, I polished the heck out of installer warnings and messages and improvements, as you've seen here, making stuff work. I can see like more polishing, like more graphic bliss, bling. I mean, better website, better documentation. But that's also the thing, right? A good technical product is not enough. We can't publish news because it's not bling enough and not enough website and not enough documentation. It's like, yeah, I mean, how much free stuff is enough to be noteworthy? Not new, it's been around for 25 years. What do you have here? I couldn't care about website, I wouldn't care about the website, not normie. I will not use 5 different HTML frameworks to make a framework website, but we will polish it more. I'm aware it needs to be better, but like, hey, the day only has 24 hours and I cannot also always work each night. Eric, but why are you supporting all those architectures? Because I have them and because I want. But like supporting all the architectures takes actually the least of the time. Packaging KDE and GNOME takes more. Packaging and get KDE and GNOME working and audio working takes orders of magnitude more time than just making sure MIPS and Spark and RISC-V still works. Literally, it took more time to bisect and keep old PCI GPUs working than it keeps of just working Itanium and MIPS and stuff, which just works. And you focus on the wrong things, like keeping all the not really AAA outstanding amazing Linux desktop compiling and working takes more time than all the architectures combined, which in contrast to popular Phoronix belief actually simply mostly just do work. What else do we have here? Probably so like last comments. Do you think Anna Kalinovsky is a Linux expert? I have no idea who is that. Maybe need to Google her. She likes puppies, whatnot. The fuck did just walking on? I'm mad at being cancelled. Embed AI, what else do we have there? Some mouse, gotta agree with it. Text should fund your people for sure. Started understanding. What I really need to follow up very exactly this. I might make it a Lewis Rossman mission to find out who actually, because this is also pretty unclear. They don't clearly list there who gets this money, right? This is like, who freaking precisely gets this? I need to follow this up. So yeah, that's basically it. You get the idea. Have to go. Hope you enjoyed this and learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Please in the comments below what you think. State of tech journalism and cancelling and underreporting open source stuff. Have a good day or night, and to see you soon for probably more YouTube videos because they bring more money than unappreciated open source work. See you next time.